Copyright disclaimer under Section 107 of the Copyright Act of 1976, allowance is made for fair use for purposes such as criticism, comment, news reporting, teaching, scholarship, and research. Fair use is a use permitted by copyright statute that might otherwise be infringing. Non-profit, educational, or personal use tips the balance in favor of fair use. Let's begin.
Do these franchise owners not have any say in where their business will be located? Walk me through that process and what the suit alleges.
They have little to no say in that process. First of all, you have to look at the history of McDonald's. When in 1969, blacks basically had to revolt to get their first franchise. So grudgingly after that, McDonald's started to give some franchises to blacks where they decided to give them. And they were primarily in black neighborhoods, low-income neighborhoods, ghettos, tough areas. Over the next decade and a half, it became apparent that that was a problem. Blacks approached McDonald's through the National Black McDonald's Owners Association with these beefs. McDonald's in the 90s acknowledged these problems, and they entered into a parity agreement that they announced publicly in the late 90s, in 98. At that point, in 1998, there were 377 black franchisees that owned hundreds of stores. Today, there's 186 black franchisees. That's been cut in half over the last 22 years. At the same time, the number of franchises worldwide for McDonald's has more than doubled, almost tripled.
Jim, is this an example, in your estimation, that the corporation is out of touch, or do you just think that they're doing enough? We know the CEO has said to our Jim Cramer here that the company has probably created more millionaires than any other corporation on the planet. And if that is true, is that enough, or should they be doing more? We also know that black customers make up about 1/5 of the chain's U.S. revenue. So do you think they're out of touch, or do they just need to do more?
Well, they're either out of touch or it's knowingly false, because it's definitely a false statement. When they made that statement, it was June, and it was on Mad Money with Cramer. And I saw that. And 2 weeks before that, I'd given them a draft of the complaint that we filed just yesterday. So they're aware of that, and they went on a PR campaign. And just think about that statement. In the history of McDonald's, there's maybe been a total of 600 black franchisees. And to say that they've made more black millionaires than probably any company on the planet is patently false. I mean, just you can think of NBA, NFL, even the Dallas Cowboys alone with the NFL has made more black millionaires than McDonald's. That's a patently false statement. And then recently on Bloomberg, the CEO, same CEO who came into office in November, said that they've got a decades-long history, going back 5 decades, of doing the right thing. And what I just talked about is well documented. What happened in '69, what went on in the '80s, into the '90s when they announced the parity agreement and acknowledged their problems. And unfortunately, they did nothing other than decrease the number of black owners over the last 22 years.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Black World TV, the new black media, black, by popular demand. Family, this video is about McDonald's, who fires back against black ex-franchisees' $1 billion racial discrimination suit, calling claims illogical and self-serving speculation. So on Friday, today, McDonald's filed a motion to dismiss a $1 billion racial discrimination case filed by black former franchisees. McDonald's legal counsel, former U.S. Attorney General Loretta Lynch, yes, you heard it right, another black person in a high position that's being used for the other side, said in a statement that, quote, there are legal deficiencies in the complaint that merit dismissal at this early stage, unquote. Black former franchisees sued McDonald's in late August, alleging they were forced to close or sell more than 200 locations due to systemic and covert racial discrimination at the fast food giant. McDonald's shot back against a racial discrimination lawsuit filed by black former franchisees. The fast food giant filed a motion to dismiss the suit in the U.S. District Court for the Northern District of Illinois' Eastern Division on Friday. The filing comes nearly 2 months after 52 black ex-franchisees sued the company, claiming they were forced to close or sell more than 200 McDonald's locations because of systemic and covert racial discrimination. Quote, the essence of plaintiff's complaint is that McDonald's, whose entire business model depends on a wide network of successful franchisees, had a secret strategy spanning decades to undermine black owner-operators across the country, unquote, reads the filing by McDonald's legal counsel, led by former U.S. Attorney General Loretta Lynch. Quote, plaintiffs offer nothing in support of this extraordinary theory beyond vague and conclusory assertions, self-serving speculation on information and belief, and a handful of personal anecdotes. The filing continues. McDonald's motion to dismiss argues that ex-franchisee's complaint, which it calls illogical, falls short on a number of ways. Attorneys argue franchisees fail to plausibly allege McDonald's intentionally. Did you catch that? Catchword, intentionally. Now I'm going to stop for a second in this article because black Americans have noticed in a number of racial and discriminatory cases, the court system always seems to pull this shenanigan. The shenanigan is they always use this word intention, and they always put the onus, they put this on black Americans who they know we cannot prove intention on anything, but yet they keep using this word. This is done by design, family. This is their trick bag. They always use different ways to cover their white supremacist actions. When they sit here and say that the attorneys argue franchisees failed to plausibly allege McDonald's intentionally discriminated against black franchisees, or that the company committed fraud by hiding information it had a duty to disclose. Further, McDonald's argues that franchisees' claims fall outside the statutes of limitations. There's another catchphrase, statutes of limitations. If they were by the law, then I don't think that would be a concern, do you? If a company actually wanted to do the right thing by all of its players, by all of its participants, by all of its franchisees, do you think that their so-called lawyers would be talking about a statute of limitations? They bring that up when they're trying to hide their bullshit. That's what it is. They bring that up about the statute of limitations because it works for them. That's why. So Lynch said in a statement that there are legal deficiencies in the complaint that merit dismissal at this early stage in the court proceedings. Of course you're going to say that. You work for McDonald's, Loretta Lynch, for crying out loud. Of course you would say that. But I'd like to see and hear from the 52 black franchisees, black ex-franchisees. I'd like to hear all of the evidence that they have. I'd like to see all of the evidence that they have. Because actually, I believe them. I don't think 52 black McDonald's franchisees would come forward with $1 billion lawsuit based on nothing. I want you to see this, black people, how they operate. Now they say that, well, in the Breonna Taylor case, there was 11, 12 people who didn't hear the police, but there was that one person that heard the police announce that they were at the door, so they go along with the one person. You see, these are games that the white folks like to play. This is 2020. We got our eyes open. We're not stupid. They are, but we're not stupid. So, Lynch says in a statement, well, I read that she says that she didn't think that they merit dismissal at this early stage, that the complaint merit dismissal. Quote, We take the allegations in this case very seriously, McDonald's said in a statement, saying that the company is moving forward with actions to foster an equitable environment for franchisees, suppliers, and employees. McDonald's black former franchisees argued that the complaint that they lost more than 200 McDonald's locations over the last decade due to the company's misconduct. One franchisee called acquiring McDonald's locations as a black franchisee a, quote, financial suicide mission, unquote, because of the unequal treatment franchisees faced. And I have to believe this person. According to the complaint, there are currently only 186 black McDonald's franchisees, down from 377 in 1998. While McDonald's overall franchisee count has also dropped, black franchisees say they have been disproportionately impacted. Black franchisees went from making up 13.4% of all McDonald's U.S. franchisees to 12.5% of all U.S. franchisees. Former franchisees said in the complaint that McDonald's covertly restricts black franchisees to locations with higher costs and lower sales. Black franchisees are primarily offered opportunities to own older stores in black neighborhoods, according to the complaint. Quote, we're always taking on the worst stores, unquote, Junith Daniel, one of the former franchisees suing McDonald's, told Business Insider. Do you see the tricks, people? Quote, they had serious problems with having to be staffed if they weren't being robbed, unquote, Daniel added. But if you want into the system, you want it to be a McDonald's owner-operator. So you took the bad to hopefully get to a better place. The complaint also argues black franchisees were offered fewer growth opportunities while facing harsher renovation requirements and inspections than their white counterparts. Are you hearing these different issues that black McDonald's franchisees had to go through, family? Lastly, it says, quote, we have said for many, many years as African American operators, there's two standards, unquote, Ken Manning, one of the plaintiffs in the case, told Business Insider. There is one for us and there's one for our general market operators. Family, this is the end of this broadcast, but I hope you caught the shenanigans. I hope you caught how Loretta Lynch, the former U.S. attorney, is McDonald's lawyer. Lastly, family, something that we could do is that next time we decide to drive ourselves or our kids to one of the fast food restaurants, and when you see a McDonald's, you just drive right on past that fast food restaurant. Not only is it unhealthy, and it's really putting a lot of black America in jeopardy health-wise, we could do something by just simply passing them up and going to one of the other restaurants, hopefully choosing something healthier. As for the 52 ex-black franchisees, McDonald's owners, not only am I still going to root that you win this case and that you fight this case and win it, but hopefully you too will take the time to maybe start your own franchise, something on a healthier choice. This is Black World TV, the new black media. Black by popular demand.